Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we got another gem of a show: 5 deal breakers in a relationship. So it's really nice to get into these top 5, top 7, because it just gets right to it. And when you think about it, deal breakers are essentially reasons to break up. And a lot of times, people don't think about these before they're in a relationship. And when it's real time, when you're going through it and these things occur, you put them off, you're passive aggressive, you act like it's not that big of a deal. It's not going to be a problem later on. But then when you look back at the relationship, when you break up, when you're at ground zero, you're like, damn, she used to humiliate me. She used to do these things. And you think back, that's when the relationship started to get bad. That's when you started to build up resentment and contempt. And vice versa. If you were doing these things in the relationship and they broke up with you. So thinking about these things, pondering them, some of these things might spark or trigger a reaction in you like, oh, shoot, they actually do that to me and I hate it, but I accept it. You want to ask yourself, why am I accepting it? And if it's one of those things, the consequences of losing them or breaking up with them are too high. There's things on this list that I'm going to discuss in a minute that people can accept. Now, people outside of a relationship will go, that's something I would never accept. That's something I would never do. It's up to you. Everyone has their own stuff. Everyone has their own things that they accept or don't accept. So when you get on your soapbox and you say, oh, this is happening in someone else's relationship. Well, for their morals and values and what stands up for them, they're going to accept it or not accept it. So you decide. I want to encourage you, whatever I say on this list, you decide what works for you and what you're willing to take. Because in any relationship, you're going to have to give in sometimes, right? Not all the time, but there's going to be a trade-off. Now, there's some relationships where someone's running the relationship, and there's always someone that's getting their way more often than the other person. There's never exact equalness, okay? That's something that I come across a lot. Well, I want normal. I want fair. Okay, good luck. A lot of relationships, there's going to be someone that's the leader. There's going to be someone that kind of gets their way. There's going to be someone that runs the finances. Okay, that's okay. Now, these things that I'm going to mention here, these are things that I identify as deal breakers. So always remember that. Someone's giving you information like myself. I'm telling you what would be deal breakers for me. If they don't line up with you, don't make them your deal breakers. All right, let's get into it. 5 deal breakers in a relationship. Number 1, he or she still meets up with their ex to hang out or talk about business ventures. Now think about that for a minute. Why did I say business ventures? Because a lot of times it's something about work, property, a business they form together. I find that being a breakup coach, this is one of the ones that comes up the most. Call it an excuse, but there's a lot of people, ex-wife, ex-husband, been together 5, 6, 7 years. You have some business ventures together. The reason I mentioned this one specifically is because it's hard to overcome. So why is that? Because you go, oh, because you have a business together, you kind of have to meet up. The problem with the business part is, where does it end? If you tell me, oh, Dan, my ex, just lost his mother, and I really want to meet up with him and his sister for lunch, just to visit and be present. That's a lot different than, hey, we're still running a business together, and we're going to talk about the business and the online platform, yada, yada. These kinds of things about businesses, where does it end? Okay. Where does it end that you're going to stop talking about business and go into something else? And so if your ex business ventures have to discuss money issues a lot, or they just want to hang out with their ex because they're friends. This doesn't happen a lot because usually someone finds an excuse, like a reason that's a little bit shady, but there are people that are like, we're just really good friends still. Now, the other part of this is a two-part deal breaker here. The reasons they find to meet up with their ex don't line up with your expectations of respect and loyalty in regards to the relationship. Let me say that one more time so you get it. The reasons they find to meet up with their ex don't line up with your expectations of respect and loyalty in regards to the relationship. So, like I just said, there might be some moments where you can understand why they have to meet up with their ex. Okay. When I say financial things, a lot of times, hey, I need to get my name off the lease. That's a big one. There's a finish line to that. Once your name's off the lease and you get your stuff out of the place, it's done. You don't need to meet up anymore. Right. So when you get into this part, you need to decide when they're meeting up with their ex, what's the lines and boundaries you have? It's not just cut and dry. It's up to you. Number 2, 5 deal breakers in a relationship. When you get in fights, they take it to social media. This is probably one of the number one ones for me. I've never dealt with this in a relationship. I've heard about it secondhand, and I find it to be one of the worst things a partner can do. And really, they're showing their true colors. Social media is a part of life now. But when you get in fights and they take it to social media and they take their side of the fight to social media, or worse yet, they make you look bad on social media when you had a private argument. Okay. To me, this is not just a deal breaker, it's a reason to break up. Okay. Because if they do it once, they'll do it twice. I've never met someone that's had this happen to them that it just happened one time. And the funny thing is they'll go to their partner and they'll say, hey, like, why are you taking it to social media? Why'd you have to do that? Really? And the partner's oblivious because to them, social media is a big part of their life. It's a big part of who they are, and that's how they communicate. So if you think that you're going to just talk them out of this, for them to get to that point of even doing this, it's really telling you who they are, who they'll be in the future in the relationship, and who's going to like their dirty laundry being aired on social media. Okay. No bueno. Number 3, they have a habit of making you the bad guy. They blame you for how they feel. So, or they have a habit of making you the bad girl. Just sounds worse saying that, doesn't it? They get in this approach where they find a way again and again that you did something wrong to make them feel bad and they blame you. If you're in this, a lot of times the phrase I've been walking on eggshells, if you find yourself telling your friends, "Oh, I just feel like I'm walking on eggshells all the time. I feel like I can't do anything right." Men complain about this more than women. Women have a habit more than men of making the guy a bad guy, and it controls the relationship. And what the guy doesn't realize, if he's receptive to that, and that sounds kind of crazy that he'd be receptive to being the bad guy, but if he was a young kid and his parents or one of his parents put him down a lot, he might be used to it. But what it creates is low self-esteem, insecurity, and really someone to answer to. So if you feel like they have a habit of making you the bad guy, and let me stack onto that when they make you the bad guy, you don't agree. So there are moments where you did something wrong that you need to be accountable for. You're taking it on the chin. But really, in the back of your mind, you're like, I don't think I did anything wrong here. That's a red flag. That's a deal breaker. That's a reason to consider breaking up if this continues over time. And a lot of people, they'll just accept it because they think that they actually did something wrong. And when they come to me in a coaching session, a lot of times they'll ask me, I did this and I did this, but I don't think I did anything wrong. What do you think? It's like, if you have to ask, really? All right, let's get on to the next one. Number 4, they break up with the intention of winning an argument. This is really a big one, folks. They threaten to break up with you repeatedly with the intention of getting their way. So this is not something I've been a part of, but I've seen it secondhand. Uh, People that break up often, usually one or both of you will threaten to break up as a way to win an argument. And the other person will respond, no, 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 because you're having an argument about money, right? And someone's winning the argument. Most arguments, someone has a better argument than someone else. It's extremely uncommon that someone is equal. People can agree to disagree, but someone that's making better points. So, for example, if I had a client before that was having a lot of issues with money with his wife, so he made a Excel spreadsheet, and he said, "Hey, hon, come here, come here." And he had all the places where she was overspending, and it was all there, right? Black and white, redlined, whatever you want to call it. And she had a fit because she didn't know what to say to that. It's all there, right? She's calling him cheap. She says he doesn't care about her, doesn't take care of her. I'm your wife. Why would you bring this up? Right? It led to him getting a divorce. Now, someone might say, wow, just over that, because he saw the pattern there. Money was important to him. He worked hard for his money. He made good money. It was going to be an issue long term. Now, she threatened to break up in that moment over it because she didn't really have a good argument, right? Everything was there. She could say, look, I see what you're talking about, but I like to spend money on those things. I see what you're talking about, but I don't see it as big a problem as you do. But she was offended. She didn't know how to react. So she went straight for the kneecaps and she said, let's break up. If you have someone like that over a 1 year period have broken up with you 2, 3, 4 times, and you're wondering like, oh, and then the thing is you make up by giving in to them, or you make up by sleeping together. You have a treat at the end of the tunnel, right? This is a deal breaker in a long-term relationship because at some point it's going to get old and the other person's not communicating properly with you like an adult. They're being a brat, actually. All right. So, number 5, and I do have 3 bonus ones here besides the 5. So stay tuned. They say they don't care about money, but they ask for yours. They are highly manipulative when it comes to getting you to pay for things. So notice I didn't just say gold digger. I think gold digger is kind of one of these generalized topics. We know what it means, but I'm getting a little more detailed here. So it's a manipulative statement when someone goes, oh, I don't care that much about money. Okay. It sounds good. It sounds wholesome. It sounds sweet. It sounds innocent. The reality is caring too much about money can be a problem. Not caring about money at all is a problem also because it is a vital source of how we eat, sleep, and get water, which are the things we need. We need money, okay? So when they say I don't care about money, but in lieu of that, you're going to take care of me, or I'm going to ask to borrow money repeatedly, or I'm going to ask for money for things I want, but I don't care about money. That's a big problem. Okay. And it's also a manipulative way of saying, I'd like you to buy me things. I don't want to work too much for my money. Okay. And there's other manipulative ways that people can get money out of you, right? Wear provocative clothing would be one, right? So I'm not saying someone has to be rich, but if finances are a problem in the beginning of the relationship, or they're using manipulative tactics to get money from you, as I just mentioned in the statement, I don't care about money, but can I get this money from you? Or if they talk about past relationships where their partner just took care of them and did everything for them and bought them many things, that's going to be their expectation of you. Now, this is only a deal breaker if you value money and you don't want to play that role. With a lot of people, oh, do you think that they're trying to make me a sugar daddy or they're a gold digger? These terms, it's like once you identify that, don't complain about it. It's a deal breaker. What's a deal breaker mean? It's time to consider breaking up rather than complain to everyone. Okay. Number 6, as a bonus here, they no longer want to sleep with you. When they do, it's a chore to do so. So so a lot of times people will accept this, complain about it, or there's some marriages out there, 20, 30 years. People have come to me many times and they just go, you know what? We stayed together for the kids and it's okay that we don't sleep together. There's other means to get off. And so they're okay with it. It's not a deal breaker for them. If it's a deal breaker for you and you still like having intimacy and you like excitement, stop complaining about it. Stop acting like it's not a big deal and be honest with yourself. Okay. And say, look, now some people go, oh, I'll have to turn it around by being more attractive and, sparking things up. That's possible. But if you get to a point and the person goes, well, that's just how it is. When you're in a relationship for 5 years, this is what happens. So they're accepting that as a norm. That'll be a deal breaker. That's something you're probably not going to overcome. Number 7, their family and friends hate you. I didn't say not like you. I said hate you. Okay. Now, you can deal with this if your partner and you live far away or far enough away from those people or aren't highly influenced on your partner. Okay. So, for example, they are constantly influencing your partner to do things that don't line up with your relationship, and your partner can't fight them off or move on from them. It's a very difficult situation to be in. Okay. It's a very, very difficult situation to be in. If you are in a relationship where the parents, best friend, sister hate you, not just not like you, hate you, despise of you. Okay. And your partner goes, oh, I know, we just have to make it work. It's probably going to be a deal breaker down the road, because if they're influencing them every time they meet up with your girlfriend and they're talking bad about you in a really bad way, if they're impressionable enough by this family member, even if they don't like their big sister, even if they don't, some people don't like their best friend, but they still hang out with them because it's comfortable, because they know what to expect. The problem is they're going to get influenced more and more, and it's going to create problems. Even when they don't agree with them, they plant seeds, right? So are you going to change the parents or the best friend? No, that's not your job. Best case scenario, your partner realizes, hey, I gotta break this cycle, and they move out. They get away from those people. They control how much they're in contact with them. A lot of people won't disown their mom, but what they can do is move farther away from mom and not talk to mom every day on the phone. Maybe talk to her once a week. I have a client like this right now that has a mother and a stepdad. She's in her 40s. They've been hugely against her current partner, boyfriend, fiance, who's a really good guy. And they just want to control her. They want to control what she's doing. They've done it for a long time. They miss her. A lot of times parents, they miss her, right? So she feels like, well, I don't want to lose my mom, but I know my mom's giving me bad intel. But at the same time, I feel guilty by pushing my mom away. So I said, look, you don't have to not talk to your mom, but you need to be in charge of your life, in the sense that when she goes too far or she says something about your boyfriend, you stop it right there. You correct her, and also control the conversation, control how many times you talk. For example, if she's calling you up every day, you tell her, look, mom, it's not that I don't want to talk to you, but I'm going to talk to you on Friday when I have a little bit more time. And actually, I don't want to deal with uh, her stepdad, who's also, I don't want to talk to him. Now, enforcing to your partner that they have to cut these people off would seem like the right thing to do. And it's possible and it does work. At the same time, they need to come to that conclusion on their own if that's the extreme they want to take. And I would say that getting them some outside help. So if you have a partner, because this is an interesting deal breaker that comes up a lot, their family, friends hate you. I mean, not just not like you, but they just hate you, and all they do is talk shit about you, right? You're not going to just get them to release those people. They probably are better off talking to a coach or a therapist outside of you, because you're not going to be objective. Because when I talk to a client about this, they listen to me in a different way because they see me as being objective, non-biased, and coming up with some solutions to this where you don't just disown your mom or dad or what have you. You need to unpack this in a way that's not impulsive. Because a lot of times, if your mom's just calling you up every day, you just answer the phone. Oh, I got to talk to her. You got to figure out some kind of strategy in dealing with this. And the reason I spent a little bit more time on this one is I think this can be a deal breaker, but this can be worked on. This is one of those ones because this deal breaker comes up a lot, but also a lot of people think they have no power in the situation when they're an adult, and they do, right? I might circle back to this in a moment. Anyone that wants to put anything in the comments, go ahead and put it in the comments, and I will get to it in a moment. Final one. This is a big one. I personally haven't had this happen to me. I have witnessed it with other people as secondhand embarrassment for them. They publicly humiliate you. They put you down in front of large groups. This is one of those things that just makes me cringe when I hear about it. I think it's one of the lowest things you can do as a friend or family member also. But if your partner publicly humiliates you, sometimes they don't even realize they're doing it. I've witnessed where, especially women that just grind their husbands on things. I don't know if that was the proper word to use. In a dinner atmosphere, or especially like a sit-down dinner is what I'm thinking of. You got 8 or 9 people, maybe various couples, maybe various family members, and they make a fool out of their boyfriend or husband with, like, why they talk to him like they're a child. And the guy will go, sometimes she kind of talked down to me, and they'll just play it off like no big deal. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. And if they're completely unaware of acting that way, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you in the comments, have you ever witnessed this in a group of 10 people or 8 people at a dinner party? I'm sure during COVID there was a lot less of these, where you had secondhand embarrassment. And here's the funny thing. People that act like that, and it's not always women, some men are like that, where you're like, wow, you're talking to your wife like that in public. I mean, when you witness it, the people don't understand. They're the one that looks like a jerk. They're the one that everyone's looking at as the low one. The person being humiliated feels like everyone's looking at them, but reality is they have pity for you. They want you to speak up. And to me, that's a big deal breaker. If someone humiliates you or puts you down in large groups, I would say puts you down, period, is a bad thing. But upper echelon, deal breaker status, being done, you humiliate me in a group. For example, too, a woman can easily humiliate a guy, and they'll say, oh, I didn't know. Now, this is a scenario I've seen many times unfold before. You start dating, and you guys go out and you start getting serious, but you're not official yet. You're not official yet, but you're getting there. You're getting closer and closer. You're staying over each other's places more and more. And you go out in a social scene like a bar, which is not always the best places to take your dates. So you go to a get-together party for a friend of theirs. and then there's some drinking that goes on, and then she starts hugging some guy, and the guy starts rubbing on her lower back, and you're like, what the hell is this? But you're not officially together. Now, if you were officially together, deal breaker. You need to confront them on that. Maybe not in the moment and not in the place, but that's one of those things. It's embarrassing for the guy because he's like, I showed up with her. She's flirting with another guy. And the next day she might have an excuse. Oh, I was drinking. Oh, I didn't know it was like that. Oh, I didn't even know we were together. So it didn't matter, right? That's a test. The list goes on. If you were together, that would be grounds to have a serious talk. Now, once you have that talk and nothing changes, it's probably not going to change. Just realize that. Okay. All right, I got a couple stories on deck. If you have a story you want to share, go to writemac.com, send it in. If you want to book a live coaching session, go ahead and do that. And let me check in with the live stream real quick. We got Eve Colt. How you doing? Smart decision from her. I'd break up with her as well. Financial is very important. Good morning, truth of life, Mr. Clutch. How you doing, my friend? Sounds like orbiting mother, possibly. Jodism, interesting name. Is that a pit bull there? Is it safe to say, coach, a girlfriend's parents or sister that hate you will never come around to liking you? And that's beyond our control. Just let it be and not to react. Really good question. Thanks for putting that in the comments. Not all cases are the same. So you're going to hear me say this a lot. I like to stay away from the generalizations. If you sent me your story or we talked about it in a coaching session, then we can get a little deeper to the layers of your situation because not every situation is the same. But it is out of your control if a parent or sister hates you. That part I agree with. Now, can they come around over time? Possibly. I don't know the parent or sister's reasons for not liking you. So that was what would take it to another level. What's their reason for not liking you? I mean, people can be petty, right? You could be a police officer and they're just like, I hate cops. Now, over time, they might be able to overcome that. Okay. My issue is when you have a partner that's highly impressionable or they spend so much time with their mom or sister that doesn't like you and it poisons the well. That's when it becomes a problem. Okay. But you're right. You're not going to be able to go to the parent and talk them out of not liking you or hating you. But if you're a good enough partner for a good enough amount of time, you'd hope that would work out in your favor. But this is where people get it wrong a lot. Jodism, if I said that correct. They try to blame the mom or the sister or talk bad about them to their girlfriend. And that doesn't work. That doesn't work because you saying bad stuff about my mom is not okay. That's my mom. I'm going to be biased. You saying bad stuff about my sister, it's not okay. It just doesn't get well received. So when you have a conversation, it's best if your girlfriend agrees that your parent or their sister is being unreasonable. I really do think that they should talk to an outside therapist or coach like myself and break down what's going on and get a strategy moving forward. Because what happens is, Jodism, you're in the relationship, so you just want to get rid of that mom and sister. You just want to make them shut up, but they still want to have a relationship with them. You see how that works? So your girlfriend needs a referee like myself or a coach that can talk to them and not have a bias to the outcome and tell them what's reasonable and what's not reasonable. Where you just were like, wow, they said that about me? Hell no. Right? Because there's sometimes where someone does something shady, right? And like with social media now, let's say that you made a post about a cute girl and the sister saw it and now she hates you. Now, I find that a little extreme for the sister to hate you, but knowing why they hate you is a big part of this, right? Knowing if that's reasonable or not, and knowing if your partner is buying into that. So that's kind of a long answer to that. But overall, sometimes if you're in a long-term relationship, you're going to have to react. You're going to have to go on offense. Initially, if you're beginning a relationship, and this is why live coaching sessions goes a lot deeper than just a generalized topic. If you're going to go deeper, then you need to have a conversation. But in the beginning, no, you don't need to react because you're still feeling each other out. You're still learning that person. And really, I would also say it's an opportunity to learn your girlfriend, how she reacts and how she interacts with her mom that hates you. Like, is she taking that in? Is she pushing that away? Because you're next. How someone treats someone else that's close to them is how they'll treat you in a monogamous relationship. So always keep that in mind. Get fit with Sunshine Sandy. That's insulting. Well, I hope you're getting fit today, Sandy. Rob IS, how you doing? DJ E Fox 96. Wow, that sounds like a DJ's name. Thanks, Mac, for the good session yesterday. Excellent, Eric. Thanks for reaching out. We just did a coaching session yesterday. Really appreciate it. I think we had a good rapport, and I hope to talk to you again if you have any more issues, my friend. If you want to share my story to the YouTube community, of course, you could do that. Thank you. I might put that on deck tomorrow because it's a good story to share. And that's the great thing about these stories, right? When people share their breakup stories, it's a little bit more real. It's more intricate. It's more authentic than generalized stuff. Okay. Generalized stuff is like, yeah, go into no contact. She doesn't like you anymore. Right. Never chase. Women are emotional. This is true, but unless you get your personal story on deck, you're not really going to get tailored advice. Right. So you can watch 1,000 videos, which a lot of people do now. It's amazing how many people come to me now and talk about all the videos they watch, not just of mine, but of, all the coaches and all the material. And so it gets you in this mode of paradox of choice, right? You go on Netflix now, it's hard to pick one show. Okay. It's like, and then 10 minutes later, you're going to pick something else. But if you really want help with your breakup, send in your story to writemac.com and I'll break it down with you. Or go to another coach or therapist, but get tailored advice. Your situation counts. Who you are counts. How you react to it counts. It's intricate. It's different. All right. How they talk about others is how they talk about you. That's a great point. I mean, it's one of those things. If you don't know that and you go along life not realizing that, that's actually extremely important advice. Right? Especially how someone talks about someone that they're close to. It's just like when you talk about if you're dating a woman that hates their father or has major issues with their dad. If you do something that's similar to that dad in the way you talk or the way you act, you're going to trigger that. And so it's more than there's going to be little triggers, little booby traps to that. But when you really listen to how they're talking about other people, just realize you're next. Or, for example, if someone does something really shady and you're like, wow, you did that. For example, if they overcharge someone for a product or something like that, and you're like, wow, you did that. Don't be surprised if they do something shady to you. Don't be surprised. And if they do something shady to you, look back in the Rolodex and go, have they done this to someone else? Redo. Hi, bro. Hope your YouTube channel grows more. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Personal stories are always unique to the individual. Absolutely. I know looking at the stories from the outside, everyone's going like, what? Why are you dealing with this? Dude, is it normal to have a really bad day missing my ex a lot? Absolutely. And it's one of those things that comes in waves. It can be 2 months where you're like off and on bad. Then you have 10 days of greatness. And then you have one moment where you just get slammed back to ground zero. Usually, Miguel, when that happens, Something triggered it. Okay. Like, and sometimes you trigger it yourself, like going to a social media post is probably the worst thing. Or you drove by her house, or it's 8 p.m. at night, and that's when you usually watch TV together, and now you're alone in your room. So when you hit those triggers, realize that it's a moment, and then get out of the moment. How do you do that? I tell people go for a quick walk, listen to some music, right? Do something to get yourself out of that stuckness, that trance state. But something triggered it. Remorse really hitting me today. Subconscious triggers usually the spark of you missing someone, dates, events, flashbacks, and there's so many things that can trigger things, right? That's why I really like that tapping technique, because with EFT, it's quick, it works, it helps, it neutralizes. A lot of times what you're trying to do is you're trying to overcompensate out of a bad moment. So what do I mean about that? This is something I've learned the last 7 or 8 months after doing my training course in hypnotherapy and EFT, is that so let's say we get into a really bad feeling. Like, for example, Miguel said, like, man, it happened to me today, really hitting me, like hit me hard, right? And so when you get to that where I'm really hurting right now, how did I get this deep? You want to overcompensate and come to the extreme of being really happy, if that makes sense. But really where you want to get is just to that neutral part where you get to ground level. So let's use the analogy that you're in a hole. I don't know if that's a good one, but you're in a deep hole and you just want to get back to ground level. You're underwater, you just want to get to the surface, not to land yet. And so that when you get to that neutral part, then that's what that tapping method does, right? EFT. Even though I feel remorse today, I'm okay. Even though I'm really hurting right now, I'm okay. And then you go through the tapping and it works. It just neutralizes it. Because what you want to do is you want to accept, I feel like crap today. Now, a lot of people go, why would I want to accept that? Because before you can change it, you got to accept it. Redo, not redo. Gotcha. Redo. What does that mean to you, Redo? What does that mean, that nickname? Because I think before you had a different name, if I'm correct, if I remember the picture right. But thanks for correcting me. My ex contact me from time to time to check up on me. Every time that happens, I get back memories, bad memories. So that means that you don't want them back. You don't want to be back in that relationship. All right. I mean, I would say that when they contact you, I always tell people this, your interactions with your ex, even your friends, family, and colleagues, if you get off the phone or you get out of the car after going to lunch with them and you feel bad about yourself, or you feel like bad energy, bad vibes, bad memories, maybe you should not answer that phone call then. Maybe you should stop hanging out with them. There's some kind of residue they're leaving on you. Now, if this is just because overall you're just in a bad place, it might just be you. But your interactions with individuals, there's residue from that. And a lot of times people just accept it like, oh, yeah, so-and-so did this, so-and-so did this. A lot of people keep bad friends for a long time. And they're not cognizant of the fact that they don't make them feel good. Friends don't always have to make you feel good, but they shouldn't be making you feel bad about yourself or being in bad states after hanging out with them, let alone exes. Redo, just like tall man. Okay. Gotcha. All right. I'll remember that. I hope soon I truly be moved on and I'm feeling a lot better. I feel my energy has shifted. I'm feeling better and stronger. Absolutely, Miguel. What I would say to it is when you have these moments of remorse or when you have these flashbacks, don't fight it. Stay with it, accept it, use that tapping technique that I taught you, and don't be so extreme about it. Like, oh my God, this will never change. I'll never feel better, right? Reverse that. Make sure you're getting your exercise. All right, let's get into the stories. We got 8 on deck, 5 likes. It is appreciated. Okay. Any questions or comments? Put them in the chat. Hello, coach. I got my story. I broke up with my ex 3 days ago. It's been the longest 3 days of my life. Well, that's pretty dramatic, isn't it? How long's your life been, man? Um, I mean, it's always 24 hours. So this is really interesting when someone says it's the longest 3 days of my life. It's like it still was just 24 hours each day, right? So you're just putting the extra sauce on that. Just realize that. We keep texting each other, but as I watch some of your videos, I believe it's just her having pity for me. Well, that's a big one. You definitely can stay in contact with an ex that doesn't want to be with you because she pities you. I've heard women say, like, I feel sorry for him. Feeling sorry for a guy as a female, and let me just have full disclosure here. I'm not a female, but I talk to quite a few in their situations, in their breakups, in their relationships. There's zero attraction attached to that. There's caring. There might even be a little pinch of love. But pity? Pity's for a puppy. Pity's for someone that's down. Pity's not anywhere near an ingredient of attraction. Now, someone says, oh, when you break up, I'm not trying to attract her. Well, whether people want to admit it or not, a big part of breaking up is loss in attraction. It's not always the case, but especially in relationships in their 20s, a lot of times it is. We've been together for just over 2 years. I'm 31 and she's 30. She has wanted kids this last year. I said I'm not ready to get married, which she also has aspirations to have a big wedding, meaning an expensive wedding, which honestly I think is a huge waste of money. I would personally agree with that, but you know what? Everyone's different. You know, if I was with my girlfriend and she wanted to have a big expensive wedding, I'd say no, probably. If that was a deal breaker, as in the topic today, that would be a problem because I do think they're a waste of money. I've known friends that have had weddings that they saved up for 3 years for this Ritz-Carlton gala that cost over $20,000, $30,000. I don't know what it is. And I'm like, how could you apply that to your future better? And then they go on like a week, 5 or 6 day honeymoon to Mexico or Hawaii. It's like, really? Wouldn't you rather take that 30 grand and travel the world or something? I don't know. Everyone's different though. As for kids, I want kids too, but the economy seems to be taking a nosedive, and that scares me because in the industry, it will hurt me financially. Well, that's you being responsible. Kids cost money. Doing it the way you want to do it maybe costs money. I do believe that it's a good excuse, but you just really don't want to have kids. So you're trying to build a case here, right? You really don't want to get married, so it's expensive to get married. You really don't want to have kids, so it's not financially important. By the way, you know, one of your love languages here is finances, right? And I don't mean that literally from the book Love Languages. I'm being a little facetious. I've got to anticipate that, and she doesn't get that she comes from a family of 7 and all her siblings have multiple kids. Wow. Breeders, huh? What she doesn't fertile. What she doesn't see is that a lot of them are struggling, and I hate to say it, but they're horrible parents too. All right, so if her siblings are horrible parents, she had the same upbringing. Subconsciously, I'm going to guess that you don't think she'll be a great parent because she's got to have some of those morals and values mixed into her. They take their kids for fast food all the time, and they're always just on their tablets. Well, the tablet thing or being on the phone thing, I've heard of people saying, oh, I'll never have my kids do that. And in the moment, I think it's part of the 21st century. Me personally, the fast food thing, I'm on deck with that because I don't eat fast food. I believe in eating healthier food. I'm with you. But the tablet things, that's pretty difficult. A lot of people have their kids on their tablets. That being said, I'm just telling you this right now. You really just don't want to have kids and get married. So you're building your case. You're using her. I hope you didn't go to her and tell her that your reason for not having kids is because of how bad her siblings are with kids. That wouldn't go over well. I don't want to raise kids like this. I don't blame you. I'm from a different culture, one that has more discipline than hers. Okay, so here's where I don't mind people with confidence. I actually welcome it. Someone says, Mac, I'm the best cook you'll ever meet. I'm going to say, good for you, man. Keep it going. If you say I'm a better cook than everyone in this world, that's arrogance. You're superior to other people. So you're saying that I'm from a different culture, one that has more discipline than hers. Now, that might be very true. Okay. The problem is with that standpoint and you feeling superior to her, it's going to bleed into the relationship and it's going to cause problems because she's going to feel like you're talking down to her, whether it's true or not true to you. What you're better off doing is finding someone from your own culture that has the same discipline as you, and then you won't have so many problems. So because the way you're shaping this is you're putting down her family, you're putting down her value for money with the wedding, you're putting down her understanding of finances, and the reality is, are you capable of meeting someone of equal or higher value that lines up with your morals and values better? Because you're not going to change her at 30 years old. I love her and we get along, but damn, kids and marriage, it's not even on my radar with her. Now, notice what you said there. This is why it's so important to write your story with her. If you would have said, I love her and we get along, but damn, kids and marriage is not even on my radar for me right now. Different statement. With her. Means she's not the one for you. It means that possibly you'd be thinking about, let's ask yourself this. Let's say your girlfriend made a lot of money, was more disciplined, such as your culture, as you say, and maybe had more evidence or clues based on her siblings being good parents. Would you be more apt to want to have marriage and want to get married and have kids? Good question. Good question. This is why it's important to write your stories and get my take on this. She told me her biological clock is ticking. Of course it is. She's 30 years old, right? This is about the time that a lot of women start thinking about this, especially 33, 34 is a sweet spot too. That doesn't register to me. It doesn't register to you because you're not a woman. She can have kids for the next 10 years. What's the issue? She can, but it's a lot healthier, more ideal for a woman to have them between 30 and 35 than it is 35 to 40. So I'd say 10 years is a bit of a stretch. All right, bud. Can't we wait? Absolutely. You're saying, can't we wait? She doesn't want to. My mother told me that I don't want to have kids with her now, that I really never want to have kids with her. Does that resonate with you? I think that your mom's onto something there. I don't know if this is an issue of you not wanting to have kids or if it's an issue not having kids with her. That's two different things. I'm not sure now, but it made me question us long term. Is there a way to make this work? Honestly, she's going to keep pressing about the kids and marriage thing. And when she gets to 31, 32, she might just abort the whole mission. And it's going to be, the more you reject it, the more it's going to persist. It's what she wants. It's what she believes in. She has 7 brothers and sisters. She's used to big families. Okay. So if you're going to make this work, you'd have to create a finish line of some sort where she believes you that you're going to get married and have kids. I don't even think you have a finish line. You're saying, can't we wait? I don't even think you want to wait. I just don't think you want to do it with her. So you need to answer that question individually for yourself. If you want to book a live coaching session, get deeper on that, we can. Is there a way to hold off on these aspirations of kids and marriage? Yeah, sure. Maybe you offer like in a year, can we revisit this? Like I said, she needs a finish line on this, not to just be another line is maybe you go to a couples counselor, but I think she's going to be dug in on this. Can you hold it off? Sure. But in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, it's going to be an issue. And you're going to have to tell her like in 1 year, then we can talk about it. I'm just worried. And she's got to line up with your reasons for not having it, but she's going to want to know that you can't just say, I don't want to do that right now because of finances. It would be more like in a year, I think I'll be more open to it. Can we wait a year? Is this something you see a lot of people break up over? Sure. Absolutely. And the woman does have their biological clock ticking. That's not just her. And it's okay. I mean, you're 31. You're at a great place in your life. If you You're not going to take this away from her. You're not going to take this urge away from her. Like I said, if you really believe like in a year or 2 years, I'm financially, if I'm up, then we'll be in a better place, right? The marriage thing, instead of having expensive marriage, maybe you can meet her halfway and have a mediumly expensive marriage. Like, like instead of spending 20 grand, maybe she's up to having like a 5 or 7 grand, right? The kids thing is really not, I mean, you can negotiate, like instead of having 4 kids, can we have 2? But not wanting to have them at all, that's going to be a deal breaker, because she's dug in on this. And our last exchange, she said, "Don't come back unless you got a ring for me. Is she serious?" Well, you know her better than I do, right? You know her better than I do. So when you tell me that she says, "Oh, if you don't text me back, or next time you text me, put a ring on my finger," I mean, is she the type of person that's joking, or is she the type of person that literally means that? Um, all jokes are half true, but if she's going there, like I said, if she broke up with you, she wants to get her way here. Her objective was to get you to marry her. If you don't want to give into that, if you get back together, you're going to have to meet her halfway on the bridge. So if I were you, this is what I would do. I would take some more time away from this breakup, stop texting, start journaling, book a live coaching with myself or another therapist or coach out there. Get a little deeper on what you feel and what you want. Stop reacting to what she's doing. Does that make sense? You need to get into your eternal clock and your feelings. What's your biological clock telling you? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Right? Stop reacting to her. Use this time during the breakup to figure out what you want. She obviously knows what she wants. All right. Got one more story on deck. I'll come to the comments in a moment. Let me read this other story. All right. Mr. Mac. Well, thanks for Mr. Okay. Hello. Been watching your channel. Good content. My ex broke up with me 2 weeks ago. I can't believe this. He was my best friend and lover. We shared so much together. And now it feels like we'll never get it back. He's 35 and I'm 33. We were together for 7 years. So is that 7 years in the other one? No, 2 years. Why did I think that? We were together for 7 years. He has always been my rock. Okay. We've been through so much. I can't see myself without him. He said that he has changed and that he just doesn't see things the same. I mean, when you have a longer relationship, like 7 years, sometimes things just play out. I know people don't like that. The relationship gets mediocre, the relationship gets monotonous, and sometimes one person doesn't mind that. It's just like someone doesn't mind working a 9 to 5 at as a janitor, or someone doesn't mind working a 9 to 5 and you find it ridiculous what they're doing. So you're in a relationship 7 years, you don't see any of you don't see it being a problem. They do, which essentially means they're changing. They're having a paradigm shift on what they value. And it's really hard for the other side, especially in a long-term relationship, because it's like, what did I miss? Right? We've been through so much. This last year, he started reading a lot of self-improvement books and going to yoga retreats. He's given me the books and invited me to yoga, but I'm not interested in that stuff, which was never a problem before. I've heard stories similar to this before. He just doesn't understand how much he means to me. Why do we have to read self-improvement books? I don't believe in that. You don't have to read self-improvement books. One thing I would add in my own personal development, self-improvement books get old because a lot of them are redundant. Sometimes that's a phase for people for a year, 2 years, or 3 years. And he's in that right now. People want you to feel what they feel. They want you to experience what they experience. And so that's why he's sharing those books. If you don't believe in them and you don't like them, good for you. Turn it down. He just doesn't understand how much he means to me. Why do we have to read self-improvement? I don't believe that. I've been taking care of myself since I was 16 and thrown out of the house. Okay, so that's a separate issue. So you're saying I don't need self-improvement books because I was thrown out at 16 and I know how to take care of myself. Good for you. He wasn't. His journey's been different. So this is where someone goes, this is what happened to me. Why don't you think the same? Exactly. He wasn't thrown out at 16 years old. I know how to deal with my issues. Good for you. He says, I drink too much, and I do drink nightly, but myself, since I was, I'm sorry, I lost my thought here. But just 1 or 2 beers max, maybe some wine too. I'm not a drunk. I know that. Okay. I believe you. I don't see where you say he called you an alcoholic or a drunk. I'm just saying that if he's into yoga and he's into self-improvement, he probably doesn't like the fact that his girlfriend or wife, I'm not sure if you were married at this point, you didn't mention, drinks every night if he doesn't drink every night. He said we were just growing in different directions. There's your answer. If you're wondering what's going on, that's the essence. You're growing in different directions. And it's something that people don't like because you're not really changing your path. You're going down the same freeway and you're like, we were on the same road for a long time. He took a detour and he's trying to get you on his path. That's why he wants you to do self-improvement books, not drink so much, maybe do yoga. List goes on. You don't want to. That's okay. But here's the trade-off. Or at least meet him halfway and do some of those things. Then you're not going to be together. And if you don't break up now, things will just get worse and worse. You'll be more and more distant. He also suddenly had an issue with me smoking cigarettes, which was never a problem before. And again, I only smoke a couple a day. Okay, so again, if this is who you were when you first were together, he's the one changing, not you. It's not necessarily, I think, that he has a problem with you. He wants to be a different person. And by being with you, it's impeding him from doing that. Okay? That's it. It's like he changed, which I was okay with, even though I think yoga retreats are boring and self-improvement books are mostly a joke. So here's the thing. Now you've gone into a negative mode where you're looking down on the things he's doing. Totally different scenario than you saying, oh, that's outstanding. I'm really happy that you do yoga, but I don't like it. I'm really glad that you look up self-improvement books, but I don't like them. Now you're calling the books a joke. Now you're calling what he does stupid. And so that's going to come off in the relationship as negative energy. You don't realize it, but when he comes back from his yoga retreats, you're probably looking down at him or looking at him in a negative way. And this is what he's picking up. I still didn't rub. Okay, so I think yoga retreats are boring. Self-improvement books are mostly a joke. I still didn't rub that in or have that as a reason to break up. Well, even if you didn't rub it in, your body language is showing that you're probably annoyed. And I'm still the same girl he met 7 years ago. Unfortunately, that's the problem. He's changing from 7 years ago, and he wants you to change with him. If you don't want to get on the bus, don't get on the bus. I'm a strong, independent woman. That works hard and takes care of her man in every way. I'm a great cook, a good listener. I take care of myself. I'm not a drama queen. I'm a good girlfriend. I believe you. So then why break up? I don't think he thinks you're a bad girlfriend. I probably would venture to say he probably thinks you're a great cook too and a good listener and take care of yourself. His problems are you drink every night. His problems are we're growing in different directions. His problems are he's changing. You are not. He's taking a different path you don't want to go on. What do you think about a case like this? Tell me what you see here. Well, if he likes the direction he's going in, he's going to stay going that path. If he's already broken up with you, I don't think even if you've changed your ways and stopped drinking or 7 years sometimes, especially you're in your early 30s. If you don't have kids, you don't have marriage, if you don't have a house you own together, when things get boring, someone kind of goes, we don't really have anything attached to keep us together. And you're still at an age, the good news is you're still at an age where you can meet someone else. You're at a good part of your life. This is going to be a really difficult one for you to accept 7 years in, I can tell. So book a live coaching session if you like. But otherwise, you're going to have to accept that it's not necessarily you're a bad girlfriend or you've done a bunch of things wrong. It's that he's changing, going in a different direction, and you don't really want to go on that journey with them. And that's okay. Because if you did, you'd have resentment, you wouldn't enjoy it, you'd complain about the ride. All right, I hope that helps you. We got one on deck, 9 likes, it says. Let me just touch base with the live stream. Redo, my ex contact. Okay, we got that one. I'm feeling better and better every day. Coach, I'm going out to meet some girls with my brother. Have some fun. Listening to your advice, we got invited. For anyone in this chat, please book with Coach Mac. It's totally worth it. Thanks, Miguel. I appreciate it. I really want to move on from my ex 100%, Coach. Best ways to speed it up. Stop trying to speed it up. Take it day by day. You're doing the right things right now. Give yourself a break when you have a bad moment. But speeding it up, that might be a trick question. Okay. Actually doing it the right way, taking your time with it, negotiating with your feelings is going to help you get to the other end of that light at the tunnel and be much more clear and clean from it all. All right, folks. Sabina, thanks for checking in. I really appreciate you. Rob IS, always a pleasure. Miguel, good to hear from you. Redo, got it right this time. Thanks for correcting me on that. Who else do we have on deck today? We had DJ E Fox. I will maybe share your story tomorrow. Jawdism, thanks for contributing. Eve, thank you for being you. All right, folks, it's curtains.